Hey, what's up? Nick Loper here from Side Hustle Nation and the Side Hustle Show podcast. Today, I'm joined by Rosie Greaves from blogwithrosie.com. She's a freelance writer extraordinaire based in Kent, England, on the shores of Dover over there. She's been doing this for quite some time, specializing in digital marketing content, conversion content, sales copy, stuff like that, and also some lifestyle content as well. But Rosie, curious, how did you get started? What was your background like? Were you always a writer, or is this something that kind of came to you later in life?
No, so I actually studied law at university, and I decided I hated it. And then a year down the line, I realized that writing was something I was super passionate about. And for me, it was almost like a hobby that got out of control. I was working a job at the time, which I actually coincidentally really, really loved. But I realized that writing was where my passion lied. So, I went with that in the end.
What did that transition look like? Did you start something on the side to say, okay,
Yeah,
I'm trying to get paid for doing writing instead of...
Yeah, I almost pretty much ended up borderline working 2 9-to-5s at the same time until I was confident that I was going to be able to replace my job. And that's exactly what I did in the end.
Okay, so you would come home from work and then do the writing stuff for clients?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
yes.
in the morning and
And
any
in the
other time.
morning. And during lunch, and during breaks, just whatever you can find the time to get it done.
Yeah.
That's the level of hustle that sometimes it takes. But in time, you became confident that okay, this is a income stream that is sustainable, that I enjoy doing, and I can go out on my own and make this happen now. So that's really exciting to hear. Take me back to those early days. Like, what were those? Do you remember your first client, like the first paid gig?
Yeah, and I actually still write for him now,
Okay.
which is really cool. Yeah. It was a gig I picked up on a Facebook group that was sort of, I actually can't even remember the name of it now, but it was like one of those groups where sort of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and people like that, almost like a networking group.
Okay.
And a couple of people were posting saying, hey, I need this doing, hey, I need that doing. So I put myself forward, and that was my first gig.
So that's awesome that connections are happening over there. How did you figure out what to what to charge? So you can raise your hand and say, I believe I can help you with this project, with this writing project. How did you figure out what to what to price that at?
I knew that I wanted at the time to replace my salary. So I worked out how much I would earn per hour, and then worked out how much of my time that would take. So that was where I was sort of meeting. So I was never going to accept gigs that were paying me less than what I was earning, because I needed that sort of I needed the financial stability. So that's how I sort of used that and engineered it backwards.
Okay, because it was like, okay, this is how much I'm earning at my day job. This is how long I think it's going to take me to write 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. Or was it that transparent to the client? Like, okay, I'm going to charge 30 pounds an hour or whatever it was. Or was it like, this is a price per article?
I didn't do it per hour. I worked out how, because I thought that was going to get complicated, because where I was working so sporadically, I didn't think I could monitor the time.
Sure.
And I've always done by like a per word rate. I find that's usually what most people ask for. So that's always worked in quite well for me. So I worked out pretty much how many words, like a 500 word or 1,000 word piece would take me, and I worked out that way.
Okay. You mind sharing what that rate was when you started versus what it might look like now? I imagine it's probably changed over time.
It's changed quite considerably since then. So at the time, that was 5 cents a word, I think, was my base rate to begin with.
Okay. And what does it look like today?
Well, Contena obviously pays pretty well, as you know, but it varies. So, but I often try and punch for about 10 cents a word on the whole. Some gigs are higher, some gigs are slightly lower, especially if they're like recurring clients. I'm happy to like bring the price down a little bit, depending.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Contena. Tell me a little bit about this. So this is Contena.co. And my understanding is it's kind of a curated list of writing gigs, and then they also have some, coaching and support for freelance writers.
Yeah, no, Contena is amazing. I used that when I first kickstarted everything, and Amanda, who was my designated coach, was so helpful in giving me like sort of really tailored advice to improve my pitches. And I don't think I would have been able to have gone full-time freelance without that sort of support to begin with.
Oh, interesting. So they assign you a resume coach, a pitching coach, and say,
Yeah.
hey, here's what I would do differently. That's awesome.
Yeah. She went through all of my clips and proofread all of my pitches and gave some really, really valuable feedback. It was one of those things where, because obviously it's quite relatively expensive, so it was one of the things I put my savings towards and used that. Luckily, it paid off. So
Yeah. I don't know, what was the deciding factor in saying, okay, I'm going to sign up for this?
Being completely new to the industry, I had no idea what a decent pitch looked like. And there's only so much you can sort of work that out on your own. And I realized that I love to write and I wanted to do it as quickly as possible. And the only way I was going to do that was with a helping hand. So yeah, that's that.
Okay, so it made sense in your mind. There was no other way. Like, I'm going to make a strategic investment in my future business and get some help there. Now, did you find that you were able to connect with clients through the platform as well, or did you use it primarily for the coaching aspect?
To begin with, the coaching aspect, but their job board is really, really, really good. I think I've got the majority of my clients through Contena's job board. I also found clients through LinkedIn. I spent a lot of time optimizing my LinkedIn profile. I've had people contacting me through there. A couple through my website. I think those are the main ways.
Tell me about the LinkedIn thing for a minute. Was it as simple as like updating your profile and say, hey, I'm a freelance writer now? Or were you, proactively approaching clients, through connections? I'm curious. LinkedIn is a marketing beast that I don't fully understand. So curious how you went about it.
I followed a training by Carol Tice. She has a membership area like full of training and stuff. And she has like a recording specifically on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And she gave Ray like loads of really cool tips on how to optimize your profile. So that's exactly what I did. I filled it all out because I already had it filled out, but I hadn't optimized it for the sort of keywords that my ideal sort of clients would be looking for. I hadn't put in all of my writing experience, and there's loads of different things that I added to it, which really helped.
Okay.
And within a couple of weeks, I did start getting clients that way. So it is super effective.
And people were just reaching out to you cold, like, hey, I found your profile. Like, would you be able to help me with this kind of work? Okay.
Yeah, literally. I mean, for me, it was pretty much as simple as that. I wasn't completely new. I had a few bylines, and I think that definitely helped.
Okay. Yeah, we'll link up your profile in the description below so people can go check it out and borrow some of the best practices that you found. That's really cool. Now on Contena or other places, what have you, and maybe this is with Amanda's help, like what kind of strategies have you found effective in making that pitch in somebody so you see a writing job posting. Here's what professional writer Rosie Greaves does now.
So if I see a job ad, usually on Pro Blogger, I mean, that's where I tend to find a lot of work. And Indeed, I think they're two of the best that Contena sort of links out to.
Okay.
So what I'll do is like really read thoroughly through all of the sort of job description, as it were. I will then go on their website, not because I want to spend ages researching that, because I think that's like a massive pitfall. You can spend ages researching companies and like not get too far with this sort of thing. I want to find the name of whoever's sort of like dealing with the pitch. So someone from HR, or if it's a smaller company, the founder directly, and just go from there. And then once I've got that, I will do like a really brief intro, like, hey, whoever saw you advertising XYZ. As soon as I saw it, I couldn't wait to reply. I think I would be a perfect fit because meet like everything in your ad, and then I will literally just list pretty much quote their bullet points back and like list why I meet that criteria.
Okay.
So if it's a degree, I'll say, I've got a law degree, or have you got, any experience with conversions? And I'll give off, stats of where I've helped blogs increase like their active users and email marketing campaigns, and like put in like open rates and stuff like that.
Okay. You're kind of proving
social shares as well.
Yeah.
That's usually something they look for. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So you could go directly to Indeed or ProBlogger and kind of sift through the listings, but you're saying Contena is doing that for you. And then you can kind of say, well, this one is in my area of expertise, so this is something that I can see myself writing about, versus like, I don't know if I want to spend the hours and hours of research for this other topic.
Yeah, and you're less likely to get sort of like spammy ads as well, because you'll find, like, especially in places like Craigslist, there are a lot of scams out there just trying to like harvest free content, whereas you're less likely to do that when you go through an agency like Contena.
Okay, because the employer or the job poster is paying to reach you. Essentially, they're like, I imagine that weeds out some of the scammers. That's so frustrating that people would like, okay, try and get you to write for free.
Yeah, I was certainly caught out like that once or twice when I first started. I think everyone is. It's just one of those things you've got to sort of like learn from.
Have you found that clients, if they're running a, kind of a company blog, they're going to need content week after week after week? Like, have you found a lot of the business to be recurring, or is it, kind of every week I got to go hunt out for new business?
No, the majority of my clients now are recurring, and I have 2 ladies who help me with sort of like overflow work. So they'll sometimes do some of like the research, or sort of draft bits and bobs up and stuff, just for like a few assignments, because where you have too many like recurring clients, it's impossible to like fulfill all of that stuff. But I make a point of every day applying for new jobs through job boards, sending cold pitches, doing something on LinkedIn. I always do some sort of marketing task for an hour a day if I can, because I think it's important to keep building that client roster, because you never know when a client isn't going to need you anymore. So yeah,
that sounds really smart, actually, to even if it's just an hour, commit to that, filling the funnel with new business. And that's awesome that you've got some other people on your team too. So now it's not just limited by your own hours. You say, okay, I've got these other writers that I trust to help me with some of this content. So it's really cool to hear what you've built.
Shout out to Dorota and Alicia. They're awesome.
Yeah, blog with Rosie.com. Check her out. Rosie, really appreciate you joining me. Any other last minute tips for aspiring freelance writers?
I've heard that Twitter is like a really, really good place to also connect with other freelancers and get jobs. I was speaking to another freelancer I know locally, and she literally just got a gig that way. It's not something I've done yet, but I definitely want to look into. I'd look into that.
Awesome. Okay. We'll check it out. Blogwithrosie.com. We'll link up her LinkedIn profile so you can check out, and the link to contena.co as well below. Really appreciate you joining me, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks, Nick.